Picture this. You're at a wedding in ancient Rome surrounded by marble columns and flickering oil lamps, dressed in your finest toga, the air buzzing with anticipation and the scent of exotic spices. Suddenly, the main course arrives, a whole roasted peacock, its iridescent feathers still attached, glimmering in the candlelight, carried in with great ceremony for all to admire. It's not just dinner, it's a spectacle, a performance meant to dazzle the senses and leave guests talking for years to come. The food at these feasts was a language all its own, speaking volumes about the host's wealth, social standing and the hopes and dreams invested in the new couple's future. Forget chicken or fish. Menus were designed to impress, sometimes boasting over 100 dishes, each more elaborate and rare than the last, from stuffed dormice to honey-glazed fruits. Every course was a statement, a flex of power and prosperity, a way for the host to show off connections to distant lands and access to the rarest ingredients. Even today, we stress over wedding menus, debating between chicken or beef, but the ancients took it to another level, turning the meal into a theatrical display of status and ambition. A Roman senator's feast was more than a party, it was a billboard of influence, serving rare, expensive, and visually stunning dishes that sent a clear message to every guest in attendance. That peacock wasn't just food, it was a symbol, telling everyone in the room that this family was powerful, well-connected, and unafraid to make a statement. Each dish had a job, to tell a story, offer a blessing, or unite families through shared flavors and traditions, weaving together the old and the new. The feast was about more than taste. It was about legacy, about passing down values and forging bonds that would last for generations. From honeyed wine poured into delicate goblets to elaborate presentations that looked almost too beautiful to eat, every detail was carefully chosen to impress and inspire. The meal set the stage for the couple's new life, offering blessings for fertility, prosperity, and happiness, all through the language of food. It was a masterclass in culinary communication, where every flavor, every aroma, and every presentation had a deeper meaning. The ancient wedding feast was a delicious, sometimes baffling journey through tradition, innovation, and spectacle, an experience that delighted, surprised, and sometimes even shocked the guests. It was a celebration that everyone would remember, not just for the food, but for the stories, the connections, and the unforgettable sense of occasion that lingered long after the last dish was cleared. Ancient Roman weddings were anything but subtle. These were not just ceremonies, but grand spectacles that set the tone for the couple's new life together. From the moment the festivities began, every detail was designed to impress and astonish. The Cena Nuptialis, or wedding feast, was a multi-day festival designed to overwhelm guests with opulence. The celebrations could last for days, with each evening more extravagant than the last, ensuring that no one would soon forget the occasion. Hosting an unforgettable feast was a matter of reputation. Serving simple food was social suicide. The pressure to outdo previous celebrations was intense, and hosts would go to great lengths to avoid any hint of mediocrity. Menus featured dozens, even hundreds of courses, each more exotic than the last. Dishes were chosen not just for taste, but for their ability to surprise and delight, with rare delicacies making frequent appearances. Sourcing rare ingredients from across the empire was a way to show off connections and wealth. The farther the ingredient had traveled, the more impressive the host appeared in the eyes of their guests. Oysters from Britain, flamingo tongues from Egypt, spices from the East. The farther the ingredient, the greater the prestige. These foods were not just nourishment, but symbols of power and reach. The meal was a map of influence, a public display of status. Every course told a story about the host's connections, ambition, and ability to provide for their community. Even commoners stretched their budgets to provide the best they could, marking the occasion with abundance. For many, it was the one time in their lives when they could truly indulge and share in the joy of plenty. The principle was universal: generosity and hope for a prosperous future. Sharing food was a way to express good wishes and to bind the community together. The wedding feast was a cornerstone of social life. It was where alliances were forged, friendships deepened, and memories created that would last a lifetime. It marked the beginning of a marriage with community, abundance, and a truly memorable meal. The shared experience of feasting together was as important as the vows themselves. The pressure to impress was immense, but the rewards were lasting. A successful feast could elevate a family's standing for years to come, remembered in stories and songs. In Rome, you went big, or you went home. The wedding feast was more than a meal, it was a declaration of identity, ambition, and hope for the future. So what did Romans actually eat at these legendary feasts? These banquets were more than just meals. They were grand displays of wealth, power, and social standing, carefully orchestrated to impress every guest in attendance. The meal began with gustatio, an array of appetizers that set the tone for the evening. Dishes like honeyed dormice, sea urchins, and stuffed sow's udders were not only delicacies, but also conversation starters, chosen to showcase the host's access to rare and exotic ingredients. Sweet Mulsum wine flowed freely, a blend of wine and honey that kept spirits high and conversation lively. Toasts and laughter echoed through the halls as goblets were refilled again and again. The main courses, or prime mensae, were pure spectacle. Roasted peacock with dazzling feathers, whole boar, flamingo, and even ostrich. These extravagant dishes were designed to astonish, each one a testament to the host's ambition and resources. Fish like red mullet were especially prized, sometimes presented alive at the table for dramatic effect, their vibrant colors and rarity making them the centerpiece of the feast. Side dishes included honey-glazed vegetables, lentils with chestnuts, and rich, crusty breads. These complemented the main courses and added variety, ensuring every palate was satisfied. Fruits, figs, dates, grapes, and pomegranates were more than just sweet treats. They symbolized fertility, abundance, and the hope for a prosperous future for the newlyweds. Every dish had meaning beyond taste. It was a visual and symbolic prayer for the couple's future, with each ingredient chosen for its auspicious qualities and deeper significance. Dessert, or secundae mensae, featured the mustaceum wedding cake, a spiced, aromatic loaf baked specially for the occasion, filling the room with its festive scent. Instead of slicing, the groom broke the cake over the bride's head, a dramatic gesture meant to bestow fertility and good fortune, watched closely by all the guests. Guests scrambled for crumbs, eager to catch a piece and share in the luck, turning the moment into a lively, communal ritual. The feast ended with a messy, meaningful ritual, leaving the table in joyful disarray, a sign of a celebration well enjoyed. Every bite was packed with symbolism, each flavor a reminder of tradition, hope, and the bonds of family and community. The Roman wedding meal was more than just a feast, it was a carefully choreographed performance of status, hope, and tradition, echoing through the ages as a true symphony of status. Now let's travel to ancient Egypt, where wedding feasts celebrated the land's natural abundance. Unlike Rome's extravagance, Egyptian feasts honored community and the gifts of the Nile. Outdoor settings, decorated with lotus flowers, created a magical atmosphere. Music and dance told stories of love and the gods, making the event a sensory celebration. Guests reclined on mats, sharing food from communal platters, a symbol of unity. The feast was about joining two families and reinforcing community bonds. The menu showcased the Nile's bounty fish, grains, vegetables, dates, and figs. Every dish was a thank you to the gods and a prayer for the couple's fertility. The celebration was rooted in the earth, reflecting a culture deeply connected to nature. An Egyptian wedding feast was a heartfelt, joyful expression of hope for the future. The Egyptian wedding menu was a tribute to bread and beer, the sacred staples of daily life. Bread, made from emmer wheat or barley, was baked into symbolic shapes, each carrying a blessing. Beer, thick and nourishing, was brewed in abundance and shared by all. Offering beer was a gesture of hospitality, breaking down barriers and uniting families. Roasted meats like lamb, goat, duck, and goose marked special occasions. The Nile provided fish, while vegetables like onions, leeks, and cucumbers rounded out the meal. Honey-sweetened cakes, fruits, and even savory dishes, symbolizing the sweetness of love. Dates, figs, and grapes, fresh and dried, were potent symbols of fertility. Every bite was a wish for prosperity and happiness. The feast was simple, beautiful, and deeply meaningful. It was a delicious way to bless the new couple. In Egypt, food was both sustenance and sacred ritual. In ancient Greece, wedding feasts were about elegant symbolism and moderation. The gamos was intimate, focused on close family and friends. Rituals began with the bride's purification bath and continued with a feast at her family home. The sesame seed cake, shared by the couple, symbolized fertility and abundance. Honey added sweetness, representing the hope for a joyful union. Greek menus celebrated local produce, olives, figs, grapes, cheese, and fresh fish. Lamb or goat might be roasted, but the focus was on quality, not excess. Every dish honored tradition and the gifts of the land. The meal was a reflection of balance, harmony, and respect for nature. Sharing food was a silent vow and a public prayer. The Greeks conveyed big ideas through simple, meaningful gestures. The wedding feast was a celebration of place, family, and hope. It was a meal that spoke volumes without extravagance. Greek wedding menus wove together flavors and symbols. Bread, sweetened with honey and nuts, represented life and community. Breaking bread together grounded the celebration in unity. Roasted lamb or goat, often offered to the gods, connected the earthly and the divine. Fruits like quince and pomegranate and nuts like almonds symbolized love and fertility. Almonds, showered over the couple, survive today as Jordan almonds. Wine, always mixed with water, was the lifeblood of the feast. Sharing wine from a common vessel reinforced community. The meal was about forging bonds, both human and divine. Every bite and sip was a wish for happiness and abundance. The Greek feast was a tapestry of tradition, joy, and hope. It was a celebration that united families and honored the gods. Across Rome, Egypt, and Greece, food at weddings was never just food. It was a language, communicating hopes, status, and values. Roman peacocks signaled power, Egyptian bread and beer celebrated community, Greek sesame cakes prayed for fertility. Fertility was a universal theme, baked into every feast. Seeds, fruits, and sweets were edible charms for abundance. Social status was displayed through rare ingredients and lavish spreads. Even modest feasts showed respect and generosity. The act of sharing a meal built community, breaking down barriers and forging new bonds. At weddings, this unity was magnified. Two families became one. The feast nourished both body and social fabric. Every dish had a role in the story of the couple's new life. Food was the real guest of honor, shaping memories and meaning. The ancient wedding feast was a ritual of connection and hope. Ancient wedding food traditions still echo in our modern celebrations. The wedding cake, centerpiece of today's reception, descends from the Roman mustaceum. Sharing a sweet bite remains a blessing for the couple's future. We still stress over menus, using food to impress and unite guests. Choices like buffets, signature cocktails, and late-night snacks are modern ways to show hospitality. The impulse to celebrate with abundance and generosity is timeless. Meals bring people together, forging community and joy. We toast, share stories, and bond over food, just like our ancestors. The ingredients may change, but the recipe for a meaningful celebration endures. Food remains at the heart of every wedding, nourishing both body and spirit.